They finally pushed her out.
Question. We'll have a couple others speak, and then depending on the nature of the crowd at that time.
So I did. I voted for Sarah Palin.
My name is John Ziegler.
I saw.
I am a radio talk show host from Los Angeles. Also the producer of the documentary film Media Malpractice, which features an interview with Governor Palin regarding the media coverage of this election. And that's why I'm here today. I'm one of the spokespeople for the website that sponsored this particular rally, FireDavidLetterman.com. And my statement on this issue is this. What David Letterman has done to Governor Palin and the Palin family was way beyond just the one statement that has gotten so much media coverage. This was the end result of several months of what appears to be a clear vendetta by David Letterman that was justified in his mind apparently by appears to be a blatant liberal bias as well as a rather peculiar interest in Governor Palin and the Palin family. So the notion that this was all about one statement about being knocked up in a baseball game is a misnomer that has been perpetrated by the very same news media that has tried to destroy Governor Palin for the last 10 or 11 months. This has been going on for a very long time. This was just the worst example of it. And David Letterman's apology last week, or a pseudo-apology, was one of the most self-serving and insincere alleged apologies that I personally have ever seen, and I've seen and been a part of many in my broadcasting career. What he did last night was a step in the right direction. I was a week late, more than $1 short. We're very happy to see that David Letterman actually now agrees that we are right, that what he said was in fact indefensible. So we would like people to stop defending it, because that is what has happened, largely in the news media. There are those who are defending David Letterman to this day and who have said, even to me directly, in fact, I got a call from CBS early show producer yesterday telling me, well, why are you guys holding this protest? David Letterman made a sincere apology. Why don't you guys just go away? Well, the reality is, at this point, there has been no accountability. There has been absolutely no punishment for what David Letterman has done and said. And in fact, if anything, he has benefited from this episode. His ratings have gone up, and in his competition with the new Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien, it is very clear that at this point he has benefited. We want some sense of accountability, some sense of fairness, some sense of justice. That so far that has not transpired. We are hoping by rallying in front of his theater today that will bring further awareness to this issue, and regardless of how many times he tries in his self-serving way to apologize, we just want some equity, some justice, some sense of accountability. That has not happened, and just because he apologizes and just because Governor Palin does the classy thing and accepts that apology does not change the reality of what David Letterman did. By any standard, by any broadcast standard, with Don Imus being the prime example, what David Letterman said and did was way beyond the line. And it's a miracle that he still has a job today. He only has a job for two reasons: the media's love of David Letterman and the media's distrust and, I believe, hatred of Sarah Palin. But the standards when it comes to Sarah Palin are totally and completely different than any other public person. That there are no rules when it comes to Sarah Palin. It is no holds barred, that anything goes. And that is wrong, that is unfair, that is unjust, and that is why we are here today. So with that, I will take any questions that you have.
What is accountability? What should happen to Mr. Letterman?
What is accountability? I believe that by the rules that have been created largely by the news media in our society, that David Letterman should have been fired, especially after his bogus apology. I do not believe that that's going to happen. So, being a realist, what is accountability? I personally believe that a suspension is the minimum that ought to happen, but in lieu of the suspension, why doesn't David Letterman, I would love for him to come out of this theater right now and do so, and pledge to do so, Why doesn't David Letterman donate his salary from last week, where he clearly was making ratings hay off of making inappropriate jokes about Governor Palin and her family? Why doesn't he donate that to the charity of Governor Palin's choice? That, to me, would be the absolute bare bones minimum to show that David Letterman is sincere in his apology and that some good can come out of this horrible episode.
Do you have any contact with him or the show?
David Letterman has had no contact with me. I would love to speak with him, and if he came out right now, I'd be happy to talk to him.
Have you called him, written to them, trying to get in touch with him?
We have reached out, but have not been successful in having any discussions with David Letterman or the show.
Do you think this demonstration reflects the number of people who are upset about this?
Well, I have no idea about that. I mean, it's difficult to tell how many people are actually here because we have several different situations going on. But I will tell you this, there is absolutely no doubt from the email that I have gotten, the email that the FireDavidLetterman.com website has gotten, the number of people that sign up for the mailing list, there's no question that this has hit a nerve. And you can tell from the media interest in this story that this has hit a nerve. People are upset about this. They have every right to be. And all we're looking for is accountability, fairness, and justice, and some sense of equity here.
Did you protest like Conan or Saturday Night Live or other people who made very similar jokes about the governor or anyone else?
Very interesting question from the liberal radio network that can't make a profit. They asked the question. They asked a question whether or not there was equal outrage about past comments. There have been many comments made about Governor Palin and her family that have been inappropriate. Many of those, some of which you referred to, occurred during a campaign for president where it would have made absolutely no sense to spend any time or effort combating them. I would also, if you asked me one by one about them, I would suggest strongly to you that what David Letterman did or said was fundamentally different and worse than any of those specific examples.
Including the Saturday Night Live?
The Saturday Night
suggested that Todd Palin slept with his daughters.
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
And then she went on the show.
You want me to answer the question?
Go ahead.
The Saturday Night Live sketch, which I'm not defending, was actually a commentary on the news media, the very same news media we see here today, and how it is that they would be so ridiculously against Sarah Palin that they would think that a story like the one that you just referenced might actually be plausible in a discussion at the New York Times newsroom. That was a commentary that I think was accurate on the news and not on anything else. So, look, and by the way, this notion that because there have been bad things that have happened in the past means that you're not supposed to call it out when it happens now is beyond absurd and ludicrous, but typical of the news media and typical of Air America.
Now, you said that David Letterman was, making out off this. Would you say that having a press conference for you to promote yourself is equally making out of this occurrence?
I am spending quite a bit of my own personal money to be here today. I took an airplane to somehow, if I'm a self-promoter, then that's for people to decide on their own. I would like to be judged based upon what I'm saying, not based upon whatever the ramifications of that are. But I can assure you, I'm not making any money out of this trip to New York.
And finally, would you say Jay Leno's actually been more damaging to America based on his horrible jokes for a long time and big chin? I mean, it's just not even funny.
Well, if you want to give me a specific example, I'd be happy to comment on it. But I don't understand why is there this obsession with trying to find situations that were equally bad or almost as bad, or why wasn't there the same reaction to that? Let's focus on what this situation is. I'm outside of the Ed Sullivan Theater to focus attention on what David Letterman has said and done, not just last week, although that was the most egregious example, but over a several-month period of time. Several-month period of time this has transpired, and that was just the worst of it last week. This has gotten beyond any shadow